Hey you guys, it's your girl Internet, and today we're coming at you with a video, and it's from Miss Candace Owens. This is why black women don't like Taylor Swift. I personally don't care. Like, I mean, like some of her songs, I feel like they are okay. Like, I don't really have a problem with Taylor Swift, and I say I just don't like her. But I wonder why other women don't like her. So we're here to see. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn your notifications on so you can see me. And let's get into this video.
So, you know, we do this thing at the Daily Wire, which is called Backstage Live, where me and all the other hosts sit down and we just talk about various subjects, things that are going on in the news, things that are going on culturally. And a clip from Backstage went viral when it got to the discussion regarding Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's romance. And what was really interesting, I mean, it really accumulated about 5 million views in less than 24 hours. And what was interesting is the way the internet responded to the clip. There was a very clear racial divide. A lot of course, Swifties, as they call themselves, were very upset. Younger white women, no, she's our queen. But black women were like, no, yes, Taylor Swift is very toxic. So before we get into why black women feel that way, I'll first let you guys listen to that clip from Backstage. Take a listen.
Obviously, if you've seen what she's even done in business and how she tries to manipulate her audiences, like to get out of like deals and contracts, like she's totally insane. Yeah. Like she's the most toxic feminist that's ever existed. And what she does is basically the threat is that if she doesn't get what she wants, she writes a song about a guy and then has 15 million girls sing the songs and drops little clues so they know who it's about. I mean, it's totally psychotic if you really think about it. I don't think you appreciate how psychotic that is, that you can't date her for 2 weeks without her writing a song about you. I mean, what she did to John Mayer as well, he was like, I literally did nothing to her. Like we went on one date and I didn't deserve this.
You were ruining
And then
this
there's a bunch of like 10-year-old girls whose brains are not developed who then go and attack whoever it is. Like Scooter Braun's family, his young kids, literally had to go into hiding and get security because Taylor Swift wanted out of the deal that he legally purchased her catalog of music. Yeah. And she wrote this, you have to go find it on Tumblr, this like glorious rephrasing of basically like, my dad signed a contract, a legally binding contract for me when I was 15. He now has the catalog because he purchased it. And she was just like, you know, as a woman, I sat on the floor and I wrote these songs. And then they tried to kill Scooter Braun's family. And he did nothing wrong other than purchase her catalog. And he only had it for like 6 months before he let somebody else purchase it. But like she hated Scooter Braun.
So yes, as I said, this clip went absolutely viral. And when it hit Instagram, a lot of the comments revealed that black women very much agree with my assessment. I'll just read a couple of these comments here. Tickle Pink wrote, basically, she's saying she plays a Karen very well.
Yeah.
She's a girl. I mean, she's not wrong. We all know this, LOL. But yeah, she's an amazing artist and all, but I understand where Candace is coming from. She basically plays a Karen pretty well, and there's plenty of girls with those ways, which is toxic, LMFAO. And by the way, this is something that has been well understood all across Black America. I'll also let you watch this clip when a newscaster asked somebody their opinion about Taylor Swift recently. Take a listen.
Taylor Swift uses feminism to tell people they can't be mean to her instead of using it for its actual purpose. I don't know. It's just like the people she dates are like, I don't know. I just feel like it's not giving, like she's using it for quite the right reasons.
Cloudy.
Yeah, just like the whole Matty Healy thing and then Ice Spice. It was just like, it wasn't giving.
Yeah.
Very interesting. A couple of things. She mentions Ice Spice. We'll get to that. But she also says Taylor Swift uses feminism so that people can't be mean to her. And yeah, that's very true. Let's start with Scooter Braun, who I mentioned on that clip. Scooter Braun manages a ton of artists. He owns his own label, his own holdings companies, and he keeps purchasing more record labels under that holding company. So let's back up and talk about who Taylor Swift is, because she's not exactly your typical artist who really had to break the bank to make it. I always say this, but if Taylor Swift wasn't one of the most famous people in the world, she would have had to settle with just being a rich girl. Yeah, her father was a stockbroker for Merrill Lynch. Her mom was a mutual fund marketing executive. So they had a lot of experience and they very much understood finance. That's what I want you to take away from that. They understood finance. So in 2004, right shortly before 2004, they moved the entire family down to Nashville, and her father decided that he was going to work from Merrill Lynch in Nashville. And then in 2004, Taylor Swift met Scott Borchetta, who was just starting his record label, which was called Big Machine. And Taylor Swift was one of its first signings. Big Machine signed Taylor Swift and took a chance on her, having no idea how big she was going to be. But her father obviously sat down with a team of lawyers because he was a stockbroker, and he decided that he was also going to purchase 3% of that company. So her father became a partial owner of the company in which Taylor Swift was signed to. A very good deal, especially if you don't think your daughter is going to be the biggest pop star in the entire world. The thing is, he agreed to the terms. Years later, they decided to sell that company. There was only 5 owners of that company, one of which was Scott Swift, Taylor Swift's father. And they said, we're going to sell this. And Scooter Braun was interested in buying it. And he did purchase it. So it was rather shocking, or it should have been shocking if you weren't, a 15-year-old prepubescent girl who follows Taylor Swift and doesn't understand business, when Taylor took to Tumblr and said she had no idea that her catalog of music, her masters, was being sold. What do you mean you have no idea? She wrote this in part. For years, I asked, pleaded for a chance to own my work. Music I wrote on my bedroom floor and videos I dreamed up and paid for from the money I earned playing in bars, then clubs and arenas, then stadiums. Some fun facts about today's news. I learned about Scooter Braun's purchase of my masters as it was announced to the world. All I could think about was the incessant manipulative bullying I've received at his hands for years. Like when Kim Kardashian orchestrated an illegally recorded snippet of a phone call to be leaked. And then Scooter got 2 of his clients together to bully me online about it. This is my worst case scenario. When I left my masters in Scott Borchetta's hands, I made peace with the fact that eventually he would sell them. Never in my worst nightmares did I imagine the buyer would be Scooter. That's incredibly manipulative. Again, at this time, Taylor Swift is 32 years old, a 32-year-old woman manipulating her fan base, using all the right buzzword. I dreamed up on my floor, I wrote these songs, blah, blah, blah. Missing from this, of course, because it's meant to send her fans into attack mode, is the fact that her dad was a partial owner of the company. Yes, Scott Swift made $15 million from the sale of that catalog. Never mentioned her dad, which you would have to be, I said, have a very low business acumen to believe that Scott Swift, who is one of 5 owners of this company, was not aware of the sale. And of course, Scooter Braun said this. Scott Borchetta came out and said this. They said, no, she was very much aware. She was offered a chance to buy it, but it didn't matter because the purpose of her writing that post was for the young fans to attack and threaten to kill Scooter Braun. She knows that's how her fans are, and that's exactly what they did. In fact, Scooter Braun pleaded with her to stop doing this because his 3 young children's lives were being threatened by her fan base. He wrote publicly, I assume this was not your intention, but it is important that you understand that your words carry a tremendous amount of weight and that your message can be interpreted by some in different ways. He also made it clear to her that he wanted to rectify the situation, that he was open to all possibilities in this public letter that he wrote to her, pleading for a resolution. But he admitted in that letter that many people had told him that it was unlikely.
Taylor Swift, she shouldn't have did that. Like, dying this man, kids with life, like, why are they doing that? Like, that's just too much. Why didn't she attack her dad? She should have attacked her dad. Also, like, Dad, you can't do nothing about this? Why is it just him getting attacked? I don't get it. Taylor Swift, she does. And she do write music about the men that break her heart. She does do that. But like I said, that's like all R&B music, but she just make her very known. She makes it very known, like, he the one did this to me.
Likely that he and Taylor would ever meet face to face because she's much more interested in creating her own narrative. Essentially, he was being told that she is manipulative. Scott Borchetta, by the way, the person who owned the company with her father and agreed to sell the company, her catalog rather, with Scott Swift, her father, openly said that the singer was being misleading about the situation, and he claimed that she very much had an opportunity to buy her own catalog. Like I said, it didn't matter. And she never rectified the situation. And her fans to this day threaten Scooter Braun and his family because they think that she was used. That is toxic femininity. That is why I say that what we're living right now is in a matriarchy, and it's a bunch of women pretending that women are the victims when in fact they yield a ton of power. So why would she do something like that to Scooter Braun? Well, because if you learn anything about Taylor Swift, she likes to use her fan base to right perceived wrongs. In one situation that she held on to for a very long time, which she mentioned in that post, which is probably the biggest contributor to why Black Americans do not like Taylor Swift, was related to a situation pertaining to Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. So I'm going to ask you guys to park aside your feelings about Kanye West. It doesn't actually matter. I want you to objectively look at this situation. Kanye West dropped a song, and the song was entitled Famous. The first lines of the song were, "To all my South Side N-words that know me best, I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex. Why? I made that B-I-T-C-H famous. I made that B-I-T-C-H famous." So when her fans, her Swifties, got wind of these lyrics, they freaked out. They were like, oh my God, this is so wrong. This is awful. How dare he say this about Taylor Swift? This is disgusting. This is despicable. This should never be allowed. It's misogyny. Remember, her brand is feminism. So of course these lines were not okay. And then Kanye West wanted to calm them down. They came out and they said, oh, I called Taylor Swift about this line. It's all good, guys. Stop freaking out. And they looked at her and said, oh my gosh, Taylor Swift, did you say this was okay? The Swifties were like, oh no, how could you say this? And so Taylor Swift had her rep issue a statement, and this statement read, Kanye did not call for approval, but to ask Taylor to release his single Famous on her Twitter account. She declined and cautioned him about releasing a song with such a strong misogynistic message. Taylor was never made aware of the actual lyric, I made that famous. Wow. When I read that statement to you, what did you get from it? Well, you obviously got that Kanye lied. They had a conversation about the song, and she said to him in very strong terms, obviously, no, this is very misogynistic. Do not release this song. Except that's not what happened. It's clearly not what happened. You're going to be shocked. I want you to really listen to this because it's one of the reasons I will never like Taylor Swift and why Black America will never like Taylor Swift. Because that was a manipulative rep statement that she released. Unbeknownst to her, Kanye West had cameras on him at the time that they had the conversation. And his then wife, Kim Kardashian, released the phone call. Listen to the conversation.
Well, the reason why it will be happening is because it has a very controversial line at the beginning of the song about you.
What does it say?
Okay. Wait a second, you sound sad.
Well, is it gonna be mean?
No, I don't think it's mean.
Okay, then let me hear it.
So it says, to all my South Side that know me best, I feel like Taylor Swift might owe me sex.
That's not mean.
Okay. Yeah, because we tried to make it nicer. So what I said is, for all my Southside that know me best, I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex. And my wife was really not with that one. She was way more into the she owes you sex. But then the O part was like the feminist group type that I was like,
That's the part that's gonna kind of... I mean, they're both really edgy, but that's the only thing about that line is that it's like it's just the feminists are gonna come out. But I mean, you don't give a so.
Yeah, basically. Well, what I give a about is just you as a person and as a friend. I want things that make you feel good. I don't want to do rap that makes people feel bad. Like, okay, now what if later in the song I was also to have said, I made her famous. Is that
did you say that?
Yes, it might have happened.
Oh God. Well, what am I gonna do about it?
I went like that, do the hair flip.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like whatever at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, just, you gotta tell the story the way that it happened to you and the way that you experienced it. Like, you honestly didn't know who I was before that. Like, it doesn't matter if I sold 7 million of that album before you did that, which is what happened. You didn't know who I was before that. It's fine.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I can't wait to hear it.
So there you have the conversation. And by the way, you can pursue it in its entirety. I'm not trying to cut it down to make her look bad whatsoever. What comes across actually, as you hear it, is that he brings up feminism to her and says, I was going to make this line that you owe me sex, but then I was sort of like, what are the feminists going to say? And then she agrees and says, yeah, the feminists won't like that. So he changes the line to me and Taylor might still have sex and tells her that he cares about her feelings in all of this. He was being very careful not to upset her as a person, he says. And yet you didn't get that, of course, from her statement that she released through her rep, because she wasn't expecting her fans to be so angry about the line. So she just flipped on him publicly. And then when those phone calls were leaked, it made her look very bad, and she held on to that anger for so long that she then did something horrific to Scooter Braun to right that perceived wrong. Right? Oh my God, now people are seeing that I'm actually quite manipulative, and I'm gonna get even with Scooter Braun, because Scooter Braun at that time, when that song was released, was Kanye's manager. That is how she works, that is how she operates. There have been many men that have come out and said things like this. Calvin Harris talked about Taylor Swift using the media to her benefit when they broke out and leaking the fact that her vocals were used on a song which they had agreed to keep private. Katy Perry came out and said that she was a wolf in sheep's clothing, notoriously. Many artists have been trying to communicate that the way that she behaves publicly and privately is very different. And what I refer to all of this as is toxic feminism, right? She's pretending to be a feminist, but in reality, she's just not business savvy, and she's also someone that knows that if you hurt her, she can send an entire hive of young girls to attack you. So that's the answer. There's never going to be a time in American history where Black women get on board with Taylor Swift, because being Taylor Swift means never having to say that you're sorry, never having to say that you're wrong, but instead manipulating a young fan base to believe that no matter what happened, you were the victim. I'm not young. I'm the same age as you, Taylor Swift. You're going to be 35 this year. I think it's time to grow up and let go of that narrative. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Swift is a very dangerous person. Like you probably won't even try to, make her mad or anything, like try to hurt her or nothing like that. But then all of a sudden you'll hear a song, she done talked about you or whatever. I see why a lot of people don't like her. If she does things like that, I'm pretty sure she does things like that, because I have heard Katy Perry say that. But I was like, I don't be listening to Taylor Swift like that. No way. Like, I do just maybe one or two of her songs or whatever, but that's about it. I'm not really too big a fan of hers. I'm not like the little Swifties or whatever like that they call. I'm not into all of that. I'm really not into none of that. None of the Barbs or none of them. Because I'm just not no super fan of stuff like that. Because nowadays, I feel like music nowadays it's just not the same. It's not the same as it used to be. And, it don't supposed to be. It's supposed to grow and be better. But it's not better. It just grew. But, you guys, you tell me how y'all feel about Taylor Swift. Because, sending little kids after people, that's crazy. That's crazy. And she knows she have to manipulate minds of little kids, because she know they don't know no better. And they ain't gonna get in no trouble like they go and do something. They ain't gonna get in no real trouble. Like, now they go and pow somebody, then something might happen. But you guys, you tell me how y'all feel about Taylor Swift, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye, you guys.